This is the new iPhone 15 in pink. It's the 128 gig variant, and I just got my hands on it. Like, it was literally delivered 10 minutes ago. I've been so looking forward to having another pink phone, weirdly enough, but it wasn't that straightforward for me either. I was really trying to figure out which color to get, and I don't know, something about the pink just got my heart set. So typical tab experience. Let me flip the box over, open it right up. The slide on this box is pretty smooth and easy. It's not as satisfying as usual, but here's the iPhone box. As you guys can see, as usual, the little pink Apple logo, pink iPhone, and this color is always matched to the color of the phone you guys get. So it's a little bit of an Easter egg if you haven't ever noticed. Check your iPhone box, it'll have the same color as your phone. And here is the phone, and okay, right off the bat, I'm looking at it from an angle, and it is way more pink than this phone. On camera, it looks a little bit similar, but this one looks a little bit more saturated, and there is definitely more pink. This is a little bit more pale in comparison, and this is more pink. And this is way less intense than I thought. In pictures, especially on Apple's website, it looked a lot more vibrant, but it is not. Already I can just feel the rounded edges. That's interesting. Okay, so in the box, very, very minimal stuff. You get your basic Designed by Apple with the warranty information and stuff, and you've got the braided cable, which is USB-C to USB-C, because of course the big thing with this iPhone is that it is USB-C. Looking at it right next to an iPhone 14 though, you guys can see that it looks pretty similar. The cameras are definitely a little bit different, even though the orientation is the same. The sizing of them is different, and I think maybe if I put them like this, it's a little bit more noticeable. The cameras are spread apart just a tiny bit more, and the sensor sizes are definitely bigger, and they do protrude a bit more. I think that this would be a good way to show how much more they protrude. So that's definitely there. And in my hand, I have to say, the rounded edges are subtle. They don't look very rounded on camera, but it's perfect enough. This is very, very straight. But this one is just slightly, and it makes all the difference in the world. It's very comfortable to hold in the hand right off the bat. Let's go ahead and, oh, okay, just a quick Easter egg. Come on camera, focus on me. There you go. So you guys can see the volume, the alert slider, volume up, volume down, and here the charge port are all in pink because of course this is a pink phone. So that's a cool little touch there. Let me go ahead and lift off the screen. And of course to do that, I'm gonna get my microphone close to it so you guys can enjoy it as well. There we go. I don't know what it is about this one, but I feel like the screen comes out to the edge a bit more. Maybe it's just the slightly more rounded design. It doesn't feel like there's an additional little layer on the edge. I really don't know. I think that this is something you guys might need to see in person to realize, and more so see them right next to each other to realize, but that is something I'm noticing right off the bat. And let me talk about the back. So this is finally a matte finish. We've been talking about this for a while. The regular iPhones have all had glossy finishes, whereas the Pros have had matte finish. And this has been a constant complaint because it smudges up. Luckily, lighter colors don't show it as much, but if you have a darker color iPhone, it's gonna show up. So this is a great solution to that, and matte just feels better. This side is no longer matte, so this is glossy, whereas on these phones you guys can see this part is glossy and this part is matte, so there is that difference. Let me go ahead and boot up the phone. Does it feel lighter? It might be in my head, but I feel like this is just a tiny bit lighter. It might just be because of the screen guard this phone has. The screen protector might just be adding a little bit more bulk, but this one feels a lot lighter and honestly just so much more comfortable. I am so tempted to just rock this one without a case. This is the perfect size, by the way. I really think that for most people, this 6.1 inch is perfect. And there we go, the screen has booted up and it looks amazing. So Dynamic Island is finally available on this iPhone as well. So let me go ahead, set this up real quick, and I will come right back to you guys once it's set up to give you my initial impressions. All right, so I just finished somewhat setting up my iPhone. It's been a whole 24 hours and a little bit more since I unboxed this phone. It has done a weird thing where it has taken me a crazy amount of time, as you guys can still see. the restore is still in progress. It still says I have 33 gigs of data to get reset. It's been connected to Wi-Fi for a majority of the day, and it still seems to not have finished. So weird things with the iOS 17 setup process. It just took longer than I expected. So I've been using the phone, and of course eSIM gave me trouble as well, so it was a whole thing. But let me go ahead and talk about the phone itself, because I have a few thoughts about it. Number one being that it actually feels smaller in the hand. Even though it is the same exact size as the iPhone 14, this one feels smaller thanks to those subtly rounded off edges. I really didn't expect them to make as much of a difference as they did, but it really made me feel like the phone is just so much smaller. And as you guys can see on camera when you look at it, and honestly even in person, looking at it side by side, it doesn't look like it's much of a difference. It's very, very subtle, but it makes a world of difference, which is absolutely unexpected. Next, let me just talk about the phone itself. It's a very, very good looking phone, and the pink color is actually superb. It just really is. This is the iPhone 13 in pink, so if anybody was wondering how the two pinks compare, here they are side by side. This looks paler than ever. Honestly, this was always a very, very subtle pink in the first place, but next to this pink, it looks even more subtle. And I assure you, this pink is not very bright or loud. From what I'm seeing in person to what the camera is showing, at least on my end, it looks pretty accurate. Now, it might look different on your screen depending on your calibration and a ton of different things, but this color is absolutely hard to get on camera, and it really only comes to life when you see it in person. It is a very subtle color. It looks very pretty, but they've also managed to make it look just, I think, a perfect amount of contrasty, yet not very punchy. I know a lot of people have been saying they want very bright colors, very loud colors, you know, they don't like these palish colors or these pastel colors, but I'm on the boat that they look absolutely fantastic. Honestly, I like these way better than the loud and bright colors. I never liked the majority of the iPhone XR colors, never liked the majority of the iPhone 12, 13, and 14 colors too, because I felt they were a bit too ostentatious, but this feels right up my alley. So that's a personal thing. I'm sure many people will disagree with me on that, and that's totally fine. Another thing I'd like to talk about is battery. So there is a tiny, tiny little battery bump. So I think it got like 80 milliamp hours more compared to the iPhone 14, but I have to say, at least during my initial setup period, I unplugged this phone at 7 o'clock in the morning, and it lasted me till about 8 p.m. And that's with all the setting up going on in the background. I was still logging into all my apps, setting everything up throughout the day, downloading a lot of data, and I'm very surprised it managed to last 12 hours on a single charge. So it gave me a pretty good first impression, and I'm excited to see how it fares in the coming days. The next thing I want to talk about is the new camera, and specifically the addition of that 48 megapixel sensor from the iPhone 14 Pros, and they are absolutely amazing. And I have to say, the best feature of it for me is this 2x crop in, because it is perfect. I really don't think I have used the 3x telephoto on my iPhone 14 Pro as much as I've used the 2x. The crop in is actually better quality in my experience, and it has just ended up being so much more useful. I always felt like the 3x was always a bit too punched in, but the 2x was a perfect compromise on that. And I was really happy that Apple brought this 48 megapixel sensor to the iPhone 15 lineup, because it really takes the camera up a big notch compared to the iPhone 14. And moving on, let me talk about the display. The display looks great. It gets very bright. I haven't really been able to test it in a very, very bright setting yet, but from my experience right now, it's been really good. Haven't had any issues with it, but it's not like I was having issues with the 14 display in any sense. Both of them have been great. I do like the dynamic island, but I do have to say, I feel like the icons are just a bit too small and pushed up in the corner. I think that they can be a bit bigger and, you know, take up the space a little bit better. I think that they're just a bit too squished up into the right, and the size is just in need of a little bit of a bump. So that was my first impression on the iPhone 15. I think it looks great. The camera has been pretty good so far. I haven't gotten enough testing on it, so I'm not going to speak too much to it. I'll put up a few samples right here so you guys can see what the camera has been like, but really without comparisons, I don't think you'll be able to tell much. Color looks great. The device feels great in hand. I think the price is acceptable, and there's no obvious issue with it. So first impression wise, if you guys are interested in the iPhone 15, I think that you can absolutely look at it, and I don't think you will regret your decision if you do end up going with the 15. If you have any questions, let me know down in the comments below, and I'll be sure to upload more videos and give you guys a little bit more of an insight on what this iPhone 15 experience has been like. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I'll catch you in the next one.